I wonder what you've learned about what it takes to sort of operate with a lead against this Indiana team.
I don't think it's anything super tactical. I don't think it's anything X's and O's wise, really. It's just you have to you can't play like you're up and just try to run the clock out, because they can put points on the board in a hurry. So you got to try to continue to score with them and then, keep getting stops on the other end. And not even look at how much time's on the clock. You just got to continue to, try and play like the game's tied. Try to keep winning the game each possession, one at a time. And, you can't get caught up playing the score.
Front right.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. Chet, you guys are able to convert a lot more shots in the paint and at the rim than you did in Game 1. Just thoughts on how you guys are able to accomplish that?
I think we did a good job of being aggressive and then playing more on 2 feet, making some decisions in that mid-paint area, where in last game we were, kind of just putting up those shots. I think we did a better job of finding some better looks, whether it was dunker spacing or kickouts or whatever it might be. I feel like we did a good job of, slowing down in that space.
It's me.
Jenny on the right.
Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Hey, Chet, Mark said that Indiana's offense is a conceptual offense, and you have to play conceptual defense against them. I know when it comes to Tyrese, you've got to have great on-the-ball pressure with him, but what are the rest of y'all doing, or what did you do tonight to make his job harder and make their offense, more difficult for them out there?
We have to play to our principles. We've been working on them all year. We can't just forget who we are, and then we have to communicate. It's really loud in there, and we wouldn't want it to be any other way. The fans bring us a lot of energy, but you really have to communicate when it's loud, especially when somebody's up guarding the ball. They can't see everything behind them, so they're trusting you to communicate with them. And whoever's guarding the screener kind of, and whether they're in coverage or something else, they got to trust the people behind them to communicate with them what's going on, and trust that everybody's going to be in the right spots, and then just trying to execute over and over. It's a long game. There's a lot of possessions. They're throwing a lot of things out there every possession, so you just got to trust that communication and execution will get the job done.
Back left.
Anthony Slater with The Athletic. How good did the big-to-big lob feel, especially considering, you guys didn't even go with the double big lineup in Game 1?
I always love playing with Hart, especially when he's throwing lobs up to me. But at the end of the day, it was just 2 points. It's a good play for us, so we got to look for it whenever that situation's kind of given to us. But try to keep emotions out of it.
Player who gets really upset between games, and that fuels you if you have a bad Game 1, or do you just try to shake it off?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a little bit of both. You don't want to get so wrapped up emotionally that you can't process why things happened, good or bad. And then you also have to have a level of care. If you're just like, whatever, I don't think that's good either. So I'd say I have a good middle ground of not getting overly emotional, but also caring enough to try and always be better next game, whether I have a good game or not.
Dan on the left, third row.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. It seemed like you and Isaiah were both setting ball screens a little bit higher tonight, maybe a little bit closer up to half court. Just wondering what benefits that provides for Shea or for J-Dub when they're getting downhill?
I wouldn't necessarily say that that's a tactical point or anything. I'd say that's just where the screens happen to be set.
Marcus, back left.
Marcus Thompson with The Athletic. Chet, how would you explain or describe Caruso's energy levels for a 30-year-old man?
Don't disrespect our GOAT like that, man. He's one of those guys who you know is going to bring it every single night, whether he's 22 or 30. It doesn't matter. He's going to bring it, and I feel like as a collective we really feed off of that, and then also his ability to kind of process things that are happening out there and relay it and communicate it to everybody else is really important for us. So, hopefully that doesn't fade away as the years go on.
Last two questions. Fourth row on the right.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports. Chet, Mark mentioned how he knew as a collective you guys would improve from game 1 to game 2, but specifically you. When you think about his belief in you, how has he helped you grow, not even just on the court, but even off the court as a player?
It's extremely important. When other people instill confidence in you, it allows you to play more confident. It allows you to have trust in what's going on, have trust in what he's telling me and us as a collective. And then also a big part of that is he has to trust that I'm going to do everything it takes to be better after bad games or bad plays or whatever. It's all about trusting that the other party has the right process in mind. He always has the right process in mind, and I try to as well. And from there, you can kind of build out a good working relationship, good ability to continue to improve and be better together.
Last one on the right. Fourth row.
Adam Francisco, Suave Report. This was OKC's first finals win since June 12th, 2012. What does it mean, or what does that mean to you, and what were you doing in 2012?
2012, I was stuffing in the back of a SUV going on 12-hour car trips for AU tournaments and sitting playing, what's that game? It's like Jetpack Joyride on the iPads in the back of the car. That's a pull right there. But yeah, it's hard to think about stuff like that because we are in it. We won a game, but that isn't the end goal. So we got to continue to try and be better as the series goes on.
Thank you, Chet.
Well, Lorenzi with the Oklahoman. Shay, I just wondered in these two games what you've learned about what it sort of takes to operate with a 10 to 20 point lead against Indiana, and what you felt maybe was different about the middle quarters tonight than the other night.
You have to stay focused on the task at hand. Now, whatever that may be for your team and how you want to attack them or go about the game plan, but you have to lock in and stay focused. And even tonight, we've had some moments of slippage. Now, you're not going to be perfect out there, but it goes without saying, to make it this far into the season, it's going to take supreme level of focus to reach an ultimate goal. And they're a display of that to the highest form. They play a full 48 minutes, and you can't just throw the first punch. You got to try to throw all the punches all night. And yeah, that's what we did. We threw enough punches tonight to get a W.
Joe, next.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Shay, what do you think of the minutes that Aaron Wiggins gave you guys off the bench and just his shot making in this one?
Yeah, big time. He, it's impressive to me. He's been exactly who he's been all year throughout the playoffs. Sometimes he gets 20 minutes, sometimes he gets 2 minutes, sometimes he gets 10. It's all over the place, and no matter what, he finds a way to impact winning for us. And you need it in the biggest moments. No one-man show can win you an NBA championship. And for him to rise to the occasion and just be who he's been in the biggest moment of his basketball career is it's pretty gutsy. Says a lot about the competitor and the man he is. So hats off to Wiggs.
Dan over here on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. First quarter, pretty tight, only a couple of possessions separation. Then you go off on that big run in the second quarter. I think it was 19-2. What did you see? What was going on during that run to allow you to establish that separation? And did that kind of feel like you guys play into your identity maybe more than you were able to in game one?
Yeah, we got stops. We ran. We capitalized on our opportunities. And we just strung it together. And I think we strung it together more often than we did in game one tonight, especially on the defensive end of the floor.
We're going to go Nick. Mike's coming over.
Shay, I just want to ask you about the offense overall, 25 assists, and it just seemed like you had some of those ball movement plays that we've seen all season long, and why you were able to get to more of that tonight.
Every night me personally, you try to attack the defense, and you try to just like make the right play. You try to make them pay for what they throw at you, coverage-wise, scheme-wise. And I think tonight, myself for sure, did a better job of attacking it. But as a whole, we did a better job of attacking it. We were a little bit sticky last game, but you have games like that. It sucks to be on this stage and have games like that, but it is what it is. It's where we are, right? It's where our feet are, and all you can do is try to be better for the next one. And I've said that over the past couple of days, and I think we did a good job of that on both ends of the floor.
Second row on your right.
Shay, Guilherme Sacco from ESPN Brazil. Game one was loud, but today it was loudest. As a Brazilian, I think that it's the closest that you can have to a South American soccer crowd. How much of a factor does they play on your wing?
Yeah, it helps a lot. It feels like throughout the whole playoffs, the crowd has found a way to get louder every game. I don't know how they do it. But yeah, it's special to be able to play in front of them. It honestly, like, it makes the road games a little bit easier because it feels like it's almost not as loud as it's been at home. So yeah, they're special, the best fans in the world.
Fred over here on the left.
Fred Katz from The Athletic. Shay, getting back to the offense, it seemed like you guys really made an effort to kind of get into your sets earlier in the clock and get into that pacing more. How much of a sticking point was that for you? And if so, how helpful was that in just kind of being able to run the offense how you guys normally do?
I'm not too sure. That wasn't like something that we try to emphasize going into the game. But I think we just had a better flow to us tonight offensively, more in rhythm, and I think that is definitely a product of it. You give yourself more time through a possession, you can work it more. Not something we tried to specifically do, but stuff like that definitely helps. The little things.
Fourth row on the right.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports. Shay, I heard you mention having an extreme level of focus tonight. As you guys head into Indiana, I know the word momentum gets tossed around a lot. Is there a momentum that you can carry over, or is it a reset?
Every game's a reset, especially at this stage in the season. A series looks so different. We've had a series where we lost a game and won the next one by 40. We've had a series where we won 2 in a row by 20 and then lost the next one by 40. So it's like every game's a reset. And basketball reminds you of that. It's very humbling. It shows you that if you don't stay in the moment, if you don't come ready to play, no matter who you are, no matter what you just did, you can get beat and beat pretty bad. And we've learned those lessons, so we should be ready to go.
Michael and Sam, last two on the right.
Shay, Michael Grange, Sportsnet Toronto. What does it say that in a game that's pretty much a very crucial win to get, that I think you had 6 different assists to 6 different three-point shooters, and that you were so willing to rely on your teammates in a situation like this?
The way I see it, I have no choice. No one-man show achieves what I'm trying to achieve with this game. All the stats and the numbers, they're fun, but I don't play in space as much as I do without having them out there. I don't get open as much as I do without having the screeners out there. Whether it's a slide out or a set, like, those guys are the reason why we're as good of a team as we are, and I just add to it. So the way I see it, I had no choice. They were ready for the moment, as I knew they would be, and they performed.
Sam, last question, front right.
Sam Amick, The Athletic. Shay, your 72 points in the first 2 games is an all-time high for a player in his first 2 finals games. Allen Iverson had 71. How does that hit you, and beyond your scoring, because that's not the end of your game. Just how do you feel like you are meeting this moment on the final stage?
I'm being myself. I don't think I tried to reinvent the wheel or step up to the plate with a different mindset. Just try to attack the game the right way, and I think I've done a pretty good job of that so far. Now I would trade the points for 2 W's for sure, but this is where our feet are. This is where we are, and you can't go back in the past. You can only try to make the future better. So that's what I'm focused on. Absolutely.
Thank you, Shea. Joel, up in the front on the right.
Joel Lorenzi, the Oklahoman. AC, what have you learned through 2 games about what it sort of takes to play with a lead against Indiana, and what sort of urgency did you sense from that group that started the second quarter?
Yeah, I mean they're hell bent on playing the way that they want to play for 48 minutes, whether they're up 20, down 20, tie game, early in the fourth, start of the game. They're going to play how they're going to play, and I think that's the test for us this series is can we withstand their pace and their pressure that they put on us on offense and defense of being physical and trying to play tough on that end, and sustain it for a full 48 minutes. And that's the challenge for us is can we play at our best for 48 minutes and extended stretches. And even like tonight we were up 19 or so and they made a little 6-0 run. Mark called timeout and then we got right back to playing how we needed to play. That's the test for us.
On your right, Jenny.
Do what? Yeah, I don't remember specifically start of the second. Was that like our dub, me, Queso, Wiggs? Yeah, we've played that lineup a lot through the playoffs, and Mark went back to it just because, we've had a lot of success. Me and Kaysen do a good job of kind of mixing it up with whoever's the lead guards, and then, Dub has great hands, and then I'm not sure if it was Chet or Hart, but, we just have versatility in that lineup, and it lets Wiggins, let Wiggs get loose a little bit too.
Hey, Alex, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Mark called their offense conceptual. Rick called it an ecosystem. Obviously, Tyrese is the head of all of that. So how do you guys feel like you've balanced tonight, guarding him, making sure you're handling him, but then, were there other things you felt like you did to sort of hold him in check the way you did, especially first 3+ quarters?
Yeah, I mean, you give a lot of credit to Lou. I think he matched up with most of his minutes. Lou's accepting the challenge. I think Lou maybe only scored, maybe made 1 shot tonight. But, he knows the role he needs to play for us to have a chance to win this series and pick up that trophy at the end. And he's doing a good job of it. But like you said, kind of speaking on the way they play, like tonight they had 5 or 6 guys in, 12 to 17 point range. All of them took about 10 to 12 shots. Like they're a very unselfish team. They're a very consistent team with wherever the ball finds, that person is aggressive to score, and they got good players. So I think it's just, it comes down to making it as hard as we can for them and then, trying to force tough shots and finish possessions.
Marcus on the left.
Marcus Thompson, The Athletic. I got a couple questions for you. You had the fewest minutes in the regular season that you've had in a long time. I think like your second year. I'm curious what that was like for you. Was it tough as a guy who's used to playing, or was it good for you at this point in your career?
Yeah, I mean it's a double-edged sword. Some of that is I play a pretty erratic style. Regardless if it's game 1 or if it's game 2 of the finals. Like I just only have 1 gear. I don't know how to play at 75%. So some of that was keeping me out of my own way, out of harm's way, because I don't do a good job of that on my own. And then, yeah, some of that was difficult just because I am such a competitive guy. And, if I'm only playing 15 to 20 minutes and if it's one of those nights where it's 15 and we're not playing great, like my instinct is to all right, coach, leave me in there. Let me fix it. Let me be the one to help us get out of it. So, yeah, a little difficult in that aspect. But at the same time, we won 68 games in the regular season. We had a 12, 13-man rotation through the year, depending on who was hurt and, different teams we played. That just comes with the nature of having a really good, deep team.
Have you gotten a chance to process being back in the finals, especially the journey it took to get back to this level and how it impacts your play now?
Yeah, just how difficult it is. You know, it's not easy to make the playoffs. It's not easy to win a series. It's not easy to advance to the finals. Like, all that shouldn't be taken for granted. And you know, I keep seeing people for the first time this postseason, like people that I know or don't know, and they say congratulations. And I truly don't want them to tell me congratulations until the series is over and we've won. Like, I don't feel like we've accomplished anything until we win 4 games. And that's just kind of the mindset I have because, like you said, getting here isn't guaranteed. You know, you're not – nobody gets a free pass. Nobody gets an extended welcome. You know, you have to earn it every time. And being here is an accomplishment, but winning it is the real pinnacle.
Third row in the center.
Hey, Alex, Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Jalen was just asked about going against you in practice. He said that he tends to fry you a lot. I was wondering if you have a response to that.
Dub's just a very confident individual. I'm not the best practice player. Once I made an NBA roster and I signed a contract, my intensity in practice dropped a little bit. You know, in the game is kind of where it matters now. I think I've earned that spot in my career, so you know we'll let him have the days in between games.
Nick,
Alex, I just want to ask you about the offensive process that you felt as a team. You guys had 25 assists, and it just seemed like more of those sort of inside-out ball movement plays that you were able to get to throughout the night.
Yeah, I mean that was something that we touched on last post game when I was up here, just about. You know, it felt like we were playing in crowds a little bit. We felt like we were, you know, forcing one. You know, good. We weren't respecting good defense when we were driving to the basket, and there were guys that were open. And you know, maybe a little bit was that wanting to win the game so badly first night in game 1 that you know we overlooked how we've played all year. And I think tonight was a better representation of how we play, and that's probably why you know we had good rhythm with shots going in and the ability to play inside out.
Thank you, Alex.
Good.
We'll take questions around the room. Please raise your hand. First row, 5th row in the right there.
Kelly, you're the athletic. Jalen, between you, guys like Alex and Lou, you guys have a number of high-level defenders. How do you determine the plays on which you want to switch the screen or you want to stay attached? How do you guys figure that out in real time?
Communication. Can y'all hear me? Is that good? Just communication, I think, is the biggest part of that. Obviously, you know, we have schemes in place, and I don't want to get into like too much like matchup-oriented stuff, but a lot of it is just like being physical up until the screen, making sure our communication's early and loud, and that's been like kind of the biggest thing. And then from there, like you said, we have really good defenders that can sniff a lot of plays out. So being able to talk it, and I think there's like an old like saying like talk it, touch it, switch it, that kind of thing. So probably in replace of like the switch it part, but a lot of it is just being close enough to your man to be able to like hear what the coverage call is and do that whole thing.
Barry?
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Jalen, I'm sure you got 1,000 things to worry about getting ready for a game 2. Minutes is not one of them. You know you're going to play a big chunk of the game. Aaron Wiggins, not that way. Doesn't know if he's going to play, doesn't know how much. He gets thrown out there and has a game like he has. How much do you respect a guy that can come out and just cold call play like that?
It's just the hardest job in the league, I feel like. I think it goes underrated. That's a really good question. That goes really underrated. It's really hard to like stay engaged and stay ready. And for him to be able to do that on the biggest stage that he's ever played on and have a really good game, he's a very special player. So I always keep that in mind. And yeah, it's a really tough job, and he does it very well.
Fred, over here on the left.
Jalen, Fred Katz from The Athletic. I'm sure there have been, obviously you've competed against Alex Caruso as an opponent. I'm sure there have been times where drills, scrimmages, whatever, where you guys have been on opposite teams. What is that feeling like when you have to dribble and Alex Caruso is right in front of you?
I don't know. I'd be frying AC, so I don't really know. No, but he's a really good defender. Great hands, good feet, physical, smart. So when you add all that together and the amount of like years that he's been in the league, I can imagine it's probably a little uncomfortable.
Jenny, front right.
Hey, Jalen, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoma. And there was a stretch there in the fourth where Tyrese got going a little bit, but with the exception of that, you guys held him well in check, not just points-wise, but really not affecting the game as much as he's capable of. What's key against him? I mean, I know on-the-ball defense is important, but what else has to happen to keep him at bay like you guys did for 3+ quarters tonight?
A lot of it is just trying to make his life really difficult. You know, kind of the same way they're doing with, like, me and Shea, like, and just us in general. Like, he's a good player. He's going to affect the game without even, you know, like, even if he has an off night, like, him being on the floor, like, he's going to have some type of impact on the game. So a lot of it is just trying to make it really hard for him to get to spots and understanding what he likes to do and try and turn that off. But like I said, he's a good player. He's going to be there. Just him being out there, he's going to affect how we play defense. So I think taking that into account is big for us.
7th row on the right.
Jalen over here, Myron Patton, OKC Sports. You guys have talked about how you really have to stay engaged. You know, a lead is never safe with them. It's part of the problem, too, that they really test your defense because it seems like at all times they've got 5 guys that they all can score. You can't really take a break on any of these guys.
Yeah. Like I've been saying, they're really similar in how we play, too. So we've been able to understand that. I think the last game they had a lot of guys in double figures. That's what makes them dangerous. The same way that we have like Aaron Wiggins and guys that don't play that can come in at any moment, they have kind of the same thing going for them. So we just got to understand that and be ready throughout the whole entire game.
Tim, right here.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Dub with Shea, there obviously, like you said, a lot of stuff at him. What did you think of kind of his decision making tonight as far as like when to attack, when to split double teams, when to get off the ball, and you know, let you other guys make plays?
He's just getting better and better, which is very impressive. For obviously he's the MVP of the league, so for him to continue to get better is good. And then he just trusts us to make plays. So I think when your best player is out there and he trusts you to make a play, it just gives you more confidence, and he understands that. And I think that's one of the roles that he's gotten really good at, and something that he's grown at, and it just makes our team better.
You guys are able to convert a lot more shots in the paint and around the rim tonight as opposed to game one. What went into that?
Focus. Some of it too is just you got to stick with it. Like basketball, like you're gonna have games where like you don't make shots. You have bad games where you miss layups. Like it's more about the process of how you're getting to the rim and how you're going about like certain offense. And I think if we just continue to stick with that, and Mark always says just getting better through every game, I think we'll be in a good spot. But a lot of it is just like being persistent with it.
Thank you, Jalen. Alex will be right up. And Joe up front on 1.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Aaron, throughout your career here, you've talked about always being ready no matter what role you were put in. What was it like just to have this performance tonight in an NBA Finals game for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. You know, just try to go out there, contribute to the team, help put us in a position to win, and got hot. The guys kept finding me, so just stuck with it.
Aaron Michael Grange, Sportsnet Toronto. You know, a critical must-win game, and Shea was really looking for his teammates, found you and I think 5 or 6 other guys, 4 open threes. What does it say about the trust he has in the group that he goes to work with?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows his willingness to, you know, create for other guys. Obviously, everybody sees the points and, you know, how easy it may be for him to, you know, go out there and get 30, 40 points. But you know, when he's out there sharing the ball and getting other guys involved, that's when our team is, you know, at our best. So, you know, credit to him just going out there, you know, playing the game the right way and, you know, continuing to just, you know, help put us in good positions.
Barry?
Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Aaron, by all accounts, you've handled the up and down minutes pretty well. But internally, how do you deal with it? You can't like it to, you know, not play in a game, play a little. So how do you deal with it, especially when the games get to this big stage?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going to like, you know, the downside to, you know, low minutes or, you know, not playing consistently, you know, a lot every night. But it's the NBA. There's a lot of highs and lows. There are other guys who are going through similar things and guys who have, you know, just kind of earned their rights. So understanding that, you know, I'm still blessed to be in the NBA and you know, do what I love. And at this level, you know, you can't take it for granted. So, just continuing to stay ready and take advantage of, the opportunities I get.
Nick in the center.
Aaron, it may just be instinctual, but part of this whole conversation is your ability to play off of and alongside every single one of your teammates. I think of your threes, 4 of them assisted by 4 different players. What is it about you and maybe your journey that allows you to just be so fluid no matter who you're out there with?
Just having learned, I think I've been in every different position, whether that's having the ball in my hands, being a second, third, fourth option, and, even coming off the bench. Regardless of what's asked for me, I think I've just kind of had experiences. So regardless of what's asked for me tonight, regardless of what's asked for me, come Wednesday, just being ready and, going out there and wanting to win first allows me to just, be myself.
Over on the right.
Yeah, Aaron, Myron Patton, OKC Sports Radio. You've had some big scoring nights this season, but this is your first NBA Finals. Just I wonder if those big scoring nights to the regular season help you adjust to this easier, I guess.
Definitely just, gives you confidence because knowing that, you're capable of and you've done it before, allows you to go out there and play, allows me to go out there, play my game and just play confident, play free. It also kind of just, I think, allows my teammates to trust me and find me at times when I get going. So definitely plays a factor.
4th row on the right.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports. Thank you for your time. You mentioned just your journey and being ready for the moment. When you think about your hometown, when you first picked up a basketball, how much of your hometown do you carry with you every night when you step out on the court?
Yeah, I think about it all the time. Being from Greensboro, kind of, my journey early on, it built me to be grateful and take advantage of the opportunities I get. The teams that I played for and I was kind of like a late bloomer. That just kind of, helped, my journey. It kind of helped me mentally to not be afraid of, regardless of what moment may be in front of me or regardless of what's asked for me. So I always think back, to being at home and, staying grounded.
Dan here on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Aaron, you were part of that big 19-2 run in the second quarter to kind of blow the game open. Just what were you seeing in terms of what was allowed you to establish that separation? And the building gets insane, super duper loud when that kind of stuff happens. What does that feel like when you're feeling that game expand like that?
Yeah, it feels great. I think we just kind of found a rhythm on both ends of the court. We were able to get stops, get out in transition, hit a couple shots, and once we kind of got going, you could kind of just feel the energy, playing a factor in that. So electric crowd tonight, and they were a part of that 19-2 run in that second quarter.
Last 2 questions. 3rd row on the left and from the front.
Ramon, Deportes en Línea, Dominican Republic. And during the game, you were able to have a lead for 15-plus points. During the third quarter, do you have in your mind that probably Indiana could make the comeback again?
Yeah, the game's not over. They did it. Game 1. So, we've got to close out games the way we did tonight. We've got to make sure that, we don't take our foot off the gas and just continue to play the right way. And we did a good job of that tonight, executing down the stretch and just making sure that we close that game.
Joseph Pavone, clutch points. Aaron, we talked about, the big scoring nights you had during the regular season and, coming into this game, or I should say throughout this entire postseason. Is there an ups and downs kind of flow to that in the sense that you're sort of itching to put a performance together like this? Or is it just sort of those, any game, this could happen, and that's your mindset going in?
Yeah, win first mentality for me. So not thinking about, how many points I'm going to score or what it looks like. Just want to go out there and play more than anything. So if I score 0 points but I get 15 rebounds and I'm playing 20 minutes, I'm happy. Not itching to have a big game by any means, just, trying to help the team win.
Thank you.
I thought, Indiana's kind of an acquired taste. We haven't played them a ton. They're not in the West, obviously, and they play a very distinct style on both ends, and I thought there were a lot of things tonight that we were just like a little better in and more comfortable, and that was on both ends of the floor. I just thought the guys did a good job of just improving, which is important going from game 1 to game 2.
Joel on the right.
Joel Lorenzi to Oklahoma. Mark, I just wonder what it feels like against Indiana when you're operating in that sort of 15-point to 20-point lead and what you felt was different about the middle quarters of tonight compared to game one?
I just think you have to understand against them because of the pace and because of the three-point shooting. There's a variance element to every NBA game in this NBA, but certainly in the games that they play. And I just thought we were the aggressor tonight for much of the game, even when we had a lead. I thought the guys did a really good job of keeping the foot on the gas, especially defensively. I thought we really amped it up on that end of the floor. There's a couple times where we got off track on both ends, but we were able to course correct pretty quickly. So I thought the guys did a really good job of just recognizing when we weren't where we needed to be and getting there quicker.
Joe up front.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Mark, what did you think of Aaron Wiggins and just the spark he gave you guys off the bench and the rest of those bench guys as well?
Yeah, I mean, they were huge tonight. He was huge tonight. I give him a lot of credit because he was a huge part of our success this season. And in the playoffs, his role's been variant night to night, but he hangs in there. I mean, he was huge in the Game 4 win at Denver in that series, and he was massive tonight. Went in there with great confidence, didn't go in until the second quarter, and just dove right into the game. So great professionalism, great readiness, and a huge performance for us, in that situation.
Jenny?
Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Obviously, there was a stretch there in the fourth where Tyrese kind of gets going, but you guys through 3+ just really held him in check. It seemed like he maybe wasn't getting the ball to teammates, wasn't rebounding maybe as much as he did in the first game. Was that part of maybe keeping him at bay as long as you did? What'd you like about your defense on him?
Yeah, I mean, they're not the type of style where you're just like keying on one player, just because of the way they play. And so they're a more conceptual team, and you have to be kind of a conceptual defense against them. And if you do that, I think it has a downstream effect on everybody against them. And so I thought we were able to do that tonight. I thought, like I said to Nick's question, the guys just really improved in a lot of like subtle areas, from game 1 to game 2, which is what you have to do in a playoff series to stay ahead of the series.
Barry over here, second row.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. You played your bigs differently today in terms of the rotation. What'd you like about the way Chet and Isaiah played separately and together?
They were both really good in both situations. I thought both of them gave us huge lifts on both ends of the floor. That was one area where we improved tonight, was our pick and roll coverage against their bigs. They're a different look because of the rolling, the popping, just the way they play. And I thought one area that we really improved was on the defensive end in that area of the game. And they both were great. I thought Chet in particular, he obviously had a rough offensive night in game 1. As always, he rose back up and was really, really good.
Fred Katz from The Athletic. I'm curious how you felt like your offensive process changed from game 1 to game 2, and specifically in just getting into your sets a little earlier. It seemed like you guys were a little more urgent getting into sets earlier in the clock, and how you feel like that affected you guys offensively tonight.
Yeah, they're a very distinct team. They're not just like a vanilla team. They play a very distinct style. It's part of their effectiveness. And it's both ends of the floor. They have an offensive reputation. They've been kind of branded as an offensive team, but they have a defensive identity as well that's predicated on pressure and perimeter physicality. And I just thought in a lot of areas it'd be easy to just say that one thing looked better tonight, but that would be oversimplifying. I think we were just a little bit better in a lot of different areas of execution, of pace, to your point, organization, decision making in the paint. Aggressiveness at the basket, gathering the ball. We just we're a tick forward in all those areas.
On your right, Sam in the front.
Sam Amick, The Athletic. Mark, with Shea, after game 1, there was some discussion that it was a bad 38-point game, which probably speaks volumes about what he's capable of. And then you look at tonight, but speak to the bigger picture. All playoffs long, 36-5. He's kind of creeping up the history charts when it comes to the impact and his ability to meet this moment.
Yeah, unsurprising at this point. It's just kind of what he does. He just continues to progress and improve and rise to every occasion that he puts himself in and that we put ourselves in. And I thought, his floor game tonight was really, really in a great rhythm. I thought everyone played better individually, and I thought we played better collectively, and I thought that was just a byproduct. I give the team a lot of credit because that's a long 48 hours when you lose game 1 like that, coming into game 2. And the guys did a great job of just focusing on what we needed to do to stack to a win tonight, and that's how we got it. So that was individual players, collectively, offense, defense, everything.
Dan over here on the third row on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Along those same lines, Jalen, 19 points, 5 of 14 shooting, but the impact overall seemed to be here from them. I'm just wondering what you're seeing in terms of the shots he's getting, and then his overall floor game, the impact of that.
Yeah, he didn't get off to like a great start in his first stint, and then he really settled into the game, and he's huge for us. I mean, it's, all the things he brings to the game, defensively, size, versatility, physicality, offensive, on ball, off ball, that floor is really high. Like we really need him every single night. And when he has the great offensive nights, then he's unbelievable. But he's a great player independent of that. And I thought he was a great player tonight. He was another guy. He took a nice step forward. I think we all just kind of calibrated to our opponent. But you have to continue to improve in a series. I mean, they're going to go home, be very comfortable. They play very well there in these playoffs. And so if we don't continue to improve, then, we'll get caught behind them.
Michael down left.
Michael Grange from Sportsnet Toronto. I think Shea had 6 assists assists to 6 different players for 3, and fairly critical game, obviously. And what does it say about the kind of trust that exists between him and vice versa in a situation like this, that he's willing to get off the ball and let other guys kind of step up and help?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a mark of his whole season. I think that's an area, the scoring and the efficiency obviously gets a lot of shine, but he's really steadily improved as a playmaker, and he's been doing that for a long time. I thought in game 1, like I said, it was as much to do with us calibrating to the opponent and the style, which was very different from really what we've seen in these playoffs. And I thought we did a good job of that tonight. But again, we have to continue to evolve in the series. Indiana's going to do that, and we need to do that individually and collectively.
John in the middle.
Yeah, John Hollinger from The Athletic. Mark, even while keeping the same starting lineup, it seemed as you got into your bench, you stayed much bigger at the 2, 3, 4 than you were in game 1, and I was wondering what went into that decision.
Yeah, I mean, just the feedback from game 1. Like we had regular season games that we studied, and we studied their games leading into this, and then we threw out what we threw out in game 1. I thought there were a lot of good things in that. I also thought we could push a little bit in terms of size tonight, obviously with the way that we went. So it takes discipline, but we try to really use these early games in the series to learn, what our options are and what our trade-offs are, and not assume anything. And that was the intent tonight, is just to get a little bit more information. Now we have it. We'll apply that as we move forward in the series.
Last question in the back center.
Daniel Bell, BSO. Yeah, Mark, compared to game 1, defense seemed a little different. Not as many turnovers. Can you just talk about the differences between game 1 and tonight with the physicality, point of attack?
Our defense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of that's Indiana, the teams out there, and obviously when teams play against us, they understand that taking care of the ball is critical. And so I thought game 1, first half was probably an outlier. And then I do think, when we play smaller, we tend to be a little bit more of a turnover defense. And when we play bigger, we have other strengths. And so it's a combination of things, but I thought overall, every look we threw out tonight, the guys did a great job with.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.